Despite ruining any goodwill that fans had toward Disney and their acquisition of Lucasfilm, Rian Johnson was awarded with his own Star Wars trilogy. Yes, the man behind The Last Jedi who ruined the reputation of Luke Skywalker, he was going to get his own trilogy. And he bragged about it frequently ever since the release of The Last Jedi. However, he has admitted that it was all fake and it never got past a conception. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com, where you can find even more pop culture articles. Thank you in advance for your subscription. The Last Jedi is one of the worst Star Wars films ever made. It is even worse than the Star Wars Holiday Special. Why? Because it deconstructs Luke Skywalker, turning him into a sad sack of a hero who was willing to end the life of his own nephew. It was just a disaster after disaster after disaster, and it holds a place of contentment among Star Wars fans, especially those of us who liked all six of the Star Wars Skywalker saga. Yes, I said all six. However, director Rian Johnson was going to get awarded for his destruction of the goodwill that fans had toward Kathleen Kennedy, who was the director of Lucasfilm after George Lucas stepped aside. He was going to get his own trilogy. There were many rumors about it, and it was going back and forth. There was gossip that it was actually canceled. Rian Johnson just said, hey, once my schedule clears up from doing the Knives Out sequels, it's going to go fine. However, he has admitted that this was all fake and that his trilogy was just a conception, quote, quote. So this is according to fandompulse.com. Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson revealed that the announced trilogy he was supposed to work on following The Last Jedi never made it past the concept stage of development. Back in 2017, before the release of The Last Jedi, Lucasfilm announced that Johnson would direct a new Star Wars trilogy. In a blog post on the Star Wars website, the company stated, Lucasfilm is excited to announce that Johnson will create a brand new Star Wars trilogy, the first of which he is also set to write and direct with longtime collaborator Ram Bergman on board to produce. In shepherding this new trilogy, which is separate from the episodic Skywalker saga, Johnson will introduce new characters from a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never before explored. 2 years after that announcement, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy informed The Hollywood Reporter that Johnson's trilogy, alongside a trilogy from Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, would lay the groundwork for the next 10 years of Star Wars. She said, we are not looking at the next saga. We are not just looking at another trilogy. We're looking at the next 10 years or more. In 2023, at Star Wars Celebration, Kennedy informed Variety, Ryan and I talk all the time. He is unbelievably busy, so we're not actively involved in anything at the moment because he's doing another one of the Glass Onion movies and then God knows what else. But he really wants to step back into space. It's a big commitment of time, so that's really on him. Now, in a new interview with Rolling Stone, where he discussed The Last Jedi as well as The Rise of Skywalker and his experience on Star Wars, Johnson was asked about what happened to his trilogy. He responded, nothing really happened with it. We had a great time working together, and they said, let's keep doing it. I said, great. I would kick around ideas with Kathy. The short version is Knives Out happened, he continued. I went off and made Knives Out and was off to the races, busy making murder mysteries. It's the sort of thing, if down the line there's an opportunity to do it or to do something else in Star Wars, I would be thrilled. But right now I'm just doing my own stuff and pretty happy. As far as how far the project got, Johnson shared, it was all very conceptual. I made Knives Out fairly quickly after. There was never any outline or treatment or anything. And by the way, I highly recommend going to check out fandompulse.com. They've got a whole bunch of other pop culture news, so definitely check them out, including the article that I just read partially from. So, yeah, no one is surprised by this. In fact, a lot of people are angry at Johnson himself, well deserved, because he continued to perpetuate the lie that his Star Wars trilogy was being made. He would criticize fans on social media and in interviews and claim that it was still happening when he has admitted it never got past conception, it never got past that initial concept. This does not surprise me. I have never been a fan of Rian Johnson's films. He's a decent TV producer. Sure, I will admit that. And he directed a decent episode of Breaking Bad. But outside of that, his films aren't good. Looper is probably one of the worst time travel movies I've ever seen in my life, despite a great effort by stars Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon Levitt. The Looper time machine idea made even less sense than movies like even Hot Tub Time Machine, but of course, anything in Star Trek, anything in Back to the Future, and especially Avengers Endgame. Time travel just did not make sense in the Looper universe, and there was a very obvious way that they could have solved the problem, and they even put it in the movie, but ignored it totally and completely. Knives Out was nothing more but a bad parody of Clue. Anyone who watched it or is familiar with the game or the book series or the aforementioned film about Clue knows this. It was just a poor, bad parody of it. Now, I've not seen The Glass Onion. I know that it's very well liked among Johnson fans, but the fact is, anything that Johnson gets his fingers in, he ruins it. Hence the name Rian Johnson. He did this with The Last Jedi. While it was very visually stunning, the storyline was dumb. The characters make very stupid decisions, and Rey graduates from being a Mary Sue to an even bigger Mary Sue, I guess. It just made no sense. And of course, Rian Johnson will never be forgiven and how he deconstructed Luke Skywalker, turning him from this great hero who had this amazing arc from being just a whiny kid on a desert planet into becoming a Jedi Knight and perhaps the new leader of the next generation of Jedi, into this sad sack who abandons his family and his friends, not to mention that he tried to take out his own nephew just because he sensed a presence in the dark side of the Force. It all made no sense. And of course, he dies of an overdose of the Force, as Luke Skywalker actor Mark Hamill has said. I am glad this trilogy is not happening, and we can just add it up to a list of projects that Kathleen Kennedy has announced, and they've either been stalled or outright canceled. I am glad that this is one of them. This would have been a disaster of a film. Rian Johnson is a failure in regards to everything except for maybe Poker Face and, like I said, his Breaking Bad episode. But what do you think? Are you glad, like I am, that this trilogy isn't happening? Are you excited that Star Wars is returning more to form and that we don't have to worry about Rian Johnson returning? Or did you like The Last Jedi? I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Let's have fun. Let's talk about it. But, let's keep it respectful, but have fun talking about it. All in all, let's just chalk this up to another one of Kennedy's grand mistakes and the fact that she was the wrong choice to take over from George Lucas. No, she was not handpicked by George Lucas. George Lucas picked her because Bob Iger wanted her, and she immediately backstabbed George Lucas in favor of Bob Iger. So I'm tired of hearing that argument. Let's move on from it. It's largely been debunked, and let's just go back to enjoying the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. Sure, Rogue One, The Mandalorian first two seasons, and Star Wars Visions, but otherwise, let's move on and try to recapture that once great fandom that was Star Wars. If you liked that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment to what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com, where you can subscribe. Now, most of my articles are free, but if you subscribe, you unlock a bunch of different tiers with perks, including getting to choose the topic for the website, and one where you get to choose the topic for this video. So keep that in mind. Thank you in advance for your subscriptions. On that same website is a conveniently titled Buy My Book section. It's where you can purchase one or all four of my novels. I hope you head on over and do that. There's links all over the place, but you can get them all on Amazon. I hope you pick them up, Leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I